player ratings for the 2-2 draw against Newcastle. First up is Big Vic. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 7. Yeah, look, I don't think he had a chance with either of the goals. Obviously, one of them's a penalty. The other one is an unbelievable effort from Bruno Guimaraes, puts it right in the corner. I thought, actually, with Vicario, I thought he was really good handling the crossing situation yesterday. Very strong from that aspect. Made a couple of good saves in the game as well, albeit if those shots do go past him, I think it's a really big error. But look, he handled himself well yesterday, Vicario, and it was great to hear and see the away fans sing his name throughout the game.
Yeah, good support, much better than obviously no absolute screw-ups like it was against Fulham. Made some pretty decent saves as well. Obviously can't do much with the goals. I think they're just good finishes. But yeah, I think it was I don't think it was anything exceptional, but a pretty solid game.
I would say about Vicario, though, like, he does not fill me with confidence when he's going up against a penalty. Like, he seems to dive the wrong way every time.
Yeah, true. He hasn't got close to any penalties, has he?
I don't remember
in
one.
the shootout against PSG, he was going the wrong way every time, wasn't he?
All right, next up, Pedro Porro. Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 5. I just feel like Pedro's just on really bad form at this moment in time. His passing seems to be erratic. His crossing seems to be off it a little bit, albeit he did put in a couple of nice ones towards the end of the game. But yeah, I don't know what it is with Pedro Porro. Is it a culmination of all the games that he played in last season and he's just tired? I don't know, but he just seems to be completely off it. I thought, like, in the first 25 minutes, he was really poor, but it's a bit of a theme, like they grow into games as the games wear on.
Yeah, and he obviously got beaten for the goal, didn't he? Gordon kind of burnt him down that side. I did think they were definitely getting more joy down that side with Barnes or Gordon than they were on the left-hand side defensively.
Just tries these stupid things as well, like this back heel that he was just lucky that we didn't concede.
Yeah, wasn't a great game from him. I don't really... also... He keeps his passing to, I don't know if this is an instruction, but he always just gives it to Kudus right to feet when he's got a player on behind him, like looking to challenge him. Like, we have to switch that up. I'm not saying not pass it to Kudus, but maybe pass it so Kudus can, like, run onto it or get a bit more space. Like, passing it always into feet to Kudus when he's got a player on his back and just getting him to hold up every time. I think it's just so predictable. But I feel like that's the instruction. But anyway.
Yeah. Next up is Kevin Danso. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him an 8. I thought, he was a big reason, actually, why we kept the score down when Newcastle were really on top of us. I thought he was aerially dominant, particularly in a hard job as well against Voltmader, who's very strong in the air. So I think he did really well in that aspect. He was clearing his lines a lot. And, I think he had a very strong performance. And when you look at his last couple of performances, has been really poor and he's got overrun a little bit, but I thought he kept it up to a very good level and back on form in this game.
Yeah, pretty happy with Danso in this one. I thought he put in a really solid shift. Maybe 6 was a bit harsh, maybe 7. Maybe I should have given him a 7, but I actually thought he dealt with Voltmader quite well. Although there was, I think, one moment Joel Linton ran off him and hit the post, and obviously he could have done a bit better tracking Joel Linton at that point. But I think by and large... I think, especially a lot of clearances, always puts his head in the way of things, which is a good trait to have. So much better than in recent games. I still think on the ball he struggles, but yeah.
Cuti Romero, 9s all round for Cuti. Obviously the man of the moment. 2 goals in the game. Our only 2 shots on target come from our centre-back, and he puts them both in the back of the net. The first one with an absolute bullet header, wasn't it? Unbelievable. And the second one with an overhead kick that hits his shin and just bobbles into the far corner. So unbelievable from Romero. Real leadership ability to just single-handedly claw us back in the game. There are a couple of worrying signs from Romero defensively in the first 25 minutes, particularly, but there was another moment as well where Harvey Barnes just burnt him alive, didn't he? And look, I felt like Romero a bit more than Porro. Like, he just kept growing into the game, and in the second half I think he put in a really big shift, but he needs to be on it from the first minute. That's the reality.
Yeah, I thought actually that did have some shaky moments. Obviously, get booked in the first half. But Barnes, I was right at the beginning of the second half. He kind of burnt him and got into the box and created an opportunity. But I did think, by and large, actually, he was actually really good. And I was commenting on when we were commenting on the game, even before he scored that brace, I was telling you, I think he's really got into this game around, and I think he's playing really well at the moment. And I think even before the goals, where he really stepped up for us, I thought he really was becoming one of our more important players. And I thought Voltmader had a very quiet game, because him and Danso were just dealing with him. And then obviously the Rover stuff. Brilliant header. You got to say, that is just a striker's header.
Bullet.
Diving header, getting in front of Dan Burn, just getting a run on him. Literally took that like a seasoned striker. Brilliant goal. And then the overhead kick, obviously a bit of luck, but he attempted it. He went for it, and it came off for us, and he ended up the game with a brace. So real captain's performance, I felt, from Cuti Romero. And also, look, you could see at the end of the game, got in a bit of a scrap with Bruno Guimaraes, always standing up for the team, and good words from him, I felt, after the game as well. So, yeah, happy with Romero.
Yeah, bringing his international rivalry to the Premier League. Has he had previous with Bruno Guimaraes? I kind of vaguely remember it. I'm not sure. If he had.
Yes. I saw a picture, but I think it was actually in a friendly between Tottenham and Newcastle earlier.
In Australia?
No, it was the one in Korea.
Oh, in Korea. What, this summer?
Yeah.
Summer
They
just
had a
gone.
bit of something.
Yeah, so obviously Brazil versus Argentina flaring up on the northeast coast, but it was great to see a little bit of shithousery with the celebration and everything like that. So, and it all flared up at the end of the game as well with them too. But yeah, let's move on to Destiny Udogie. 4 from Sim, 5 from me. 2 poor performances in a row from Destiny, to be honest, and I felt like he's just getting really sloppy in his play. When he is kind of like burst up the pitch, no fault of his own, but he's just like completely on his own, no real players to link up with. And I always felt like the dynamic was a lot better when we've got Odebear on the left wing, because he kind of provides that kind of link up play and personnel there close to him to help him get up the pitch. But yeah, no real signs of quality from Destiny, unfortunately. I don't really know what's going on with him, but a poor display.
Yeah, I think defensively, I wouldn't say it was great, but I thought obviously Murphy didn't really like get past him much or anything, although they did have that chance from Joe Linton down that side. But going forward, I don't know what's going on with him. We're really struggling to get him down to the byline like we were earlier in the season when he was first breaking into the team. I don't know if I feel like maybe we're struggling to hold on to the ball. When he's got Johnson there, who's basically not really good at holding the ball up and waiting for him, unlike Odebear, who's much better at keeping the ball and waiting for Udogie to get in position. Maybe that's something to think about. But there was a few occasions he gets on the ball, he's got no options and he's running into trouble. But I also feel there's a few occasions where he gets the ball and he's just blindly passing it to no one, like really carelessly. And that's got nothing to do with anyone else. So I think for sure there's something going on with him over the last few games. He's not having the best time of it. But I'm hoping it's more of a tactical thing than him. But yeah, he's not having a good time of it.
Rodrigo Bentancur, Sim gives him a 3, I gave him a 4. Look, it was mostly bad from Bentancur, but there were a few good moments in there as well. I felt like he was just so weak, not being able... There was a couple of like nice progressive passes from him. There was a couple of defensive moments where he got, I think it was Romero, out of trouble a couple of times. But by and large, it was a really poor display from Bentancur. Just, sometimes not even being able to make like a 5-yard pass, which was really frustrating. But what was worrying me is just like physically sometimes. Like, it's weird because like sometimes physically he just looks completely off the pace. And then like 5 minutes later, he'll win the ball back in a really nice moment and look physically up to it. So it's like, even within games, he looks so kind of up and down.
Yeah, the problem with watching Bentancur yesterday was the amount of times he got spun and he got turned, and it was worrying to watch. It happened about 4 times, and when you've got a number 6, that just can't be happening. Yeah, when you're playing in that position, you can't have a number 6 get spun that much. And it's a lot of the time was in like a one-on-one situation where he's squaring someone up. They just went to take him on, and he just couldn't keep up. And That is really concerning. I feel like he's at his best when he's like reading situations and he's intercepting and he's reading where the pass is going to go, where he actually doesn't need his physicality, where he just uses his brain, and that's where all of a sudden he can get a one-up and he can read a pass, intercept, and get Tottenham on the front foot.
Did that a couple of times yesterday,
and he did that a couple of times, and he is good at that. But I feel like physically, I think yesterday was a real just. Indication that maybe, I don't know if that physicality that he once had is ever coming back, and it's sad to think about or see. But it's I think watching him yesterday was hard.
Yeah. Pat Matisse Sarr, Sim gives him a 4, I gave him a 5. Just I'm getting so frustrated with Pape, to be honest, because it just seems as we've said this so many times on player ratings with Pape, or I've said it so many times, just like carbon copy displays where he just offers us nothing, like pretty much on the ball. Off the ball, you see him running around a bit and covering a lot of ground, but there's just nothing to report on his performances, and he just pretty much doesn't do anything.
He ghosted yesterday.
But how many times this season have we said that? Like he started the season so well. Pre-season was unbelievable. All right, this is the year of the Pape. You saw that video from Madison saying, I want to see 15 goals from you this season. And pretty much since then, he had that little injury, missed a couple of games, and he's done nothing since then. Literally nothing.
And he was playing further forward earlier in the season, obviously, which I don't think anyone really believes is his best position. But whenever he's playing in double pivot, I don't know, he's not got involved in duels. He's not getting tackles in, and he's not getting on the ball. We're not seeing him pass the ball forward. He's just like, I don't know if he's hiding. I don't know if it's a mentality thing, but he just seems to be anonymous in all these games. You barely notice him, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So Pape needs to improve big time. And I'm surprised he stayed on the pitch as long as he did, to be honest. Next up is Lucas Bergvall, 6 from Sim, 7 from me. I thought he was a shining light in the midfield from us. The only player willing in that midfield to really drive us forward, cause Newcastle some problems. Had that back heel, which was not far away in the first half, which would have put us 1-0 up. And in the second half as well, he was doing exactly the same thing. When Spurs were on top, he was central to it. And that seems to be a theme that is going on at this moment in time. He's the only midfielder, apart from Archie Gray in bits, where he's able to actually have a bit of forward thinking. Because Bentancur don't have it, Sarr's not showing it, Palini doesn't show it. He's pretty much the only one that's consistently doing that.
Agreed. And he shows bravery. He's willing to take midfielders on. He's willing to burst into the space, and he's got a bit of quality when he does it. There was a great through ball to Brennan, which Brennan should have done a bit more with. He had that back heel, which he was so unlucky didn't go into the back of the net. He obviously had a couple of moments in the second half where he kept the ball in, surprisingly, and surprised his teammates. One of his teammates, A.K. Johnson, if he would have gambled, he could have had a tap in. So he must have been frustrated. There was obviously quite a bit of time where he actually wasn't involved in the game just because of the game state, and he was playing in the 10 position rather than deeper, so he was out of it for a bit. But when he was involved, he was definitely the brightest spark we had, and I was really happy with him again. Again, I don't think he's a 10, so I think he's still a bit uncomfortable in that position. But I think he did the best with what he had, to be honest.
Yeah. Thing is about Bergvall as well, he keeps trying these back heels. There was about 6 or 7 of them yesterday. I say not many of them come off, I'll tell you that. But at least he's trying something. That's the bottom line. But let's move on to the right wing and Mohamed Kudus. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. Again, he seems to be like our only real avenue of attack. We get the ball to him on the right and he's asked to take on 2 or 3 men. He's always kind of double marked, isn't he? And sometimes he can wriggle away, sometimes he can't. But there's no one to really, properly link up with. And, that's no fault of Mohamed, but that's just the reality and the tactics that we set up with. So I think he does well on the most part. He seems like in the forward line, he's the one with the most quality and the most creative player. Got a really good assist for Romero's goal. But yeah, I did think at times he was frustrating.
Yes, but I think by and large he was, again, probably our best avenue of attack. Obviously set up that chance for Bergvall for the back heel, set up Romero's goal as well. I think he had a really good battle with Lewis Hall, sometimes coming out on top, sometimes not. But I think by and large, we asked so much of him. And I think on this occasion, he looked a lot brighter than he has done in, well, I guess he did score against Fulham as well. Maybe he's starting to get some goal contributions back in his game, because I seemed to abandon him a bit over the last few weeks. And I think the last 2 games, he's been obviously blowing hot and cold, but I think he's starting to find a few moments of quality again, and that's really positive. So I was pretty happy with him.
Randall Kolo Muani, Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 7. I thought Muani was really good, to be honest. He's a battler. He doesn't give up a moment's rest for the defenders. The defenders always have something to think about when Randall has been on the pitch the last couple of games. He gets himself in so many duels. He's contesting for every ball, showing quality as well with his how he can take on men as well. Didn't really get the opportunity to shoot much yesterday, but I felt like he was just tiring out a lot of the Newcastle defenders yesterday, and I didn't think he should have been taken off when he was, albeit it was like 10 minutes to go. But yeah, I've been really impressed with Randall, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Randall was another solid showing. Again, because of how we play, it was difficult for him to really get involved too much, and I think a lot of the time he was losing duels to the centre-backs. But I think when he did get moments to get on the ball and show a bit of quality and hold the ball up or get the ball to feet, I think he showed what he's about, and he was bringing other players into play, and they had a little run just before he went off as well, which was causing trouble, and he won some corners. So, yeah, he did all right with what he had, but was not really a goal threat.
Brennan Johnson, last but not least, Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. Probably a 5, actually, is a more fair reflection, to be honest. I felt like there was actually a willingness from Brennan Johnson in this game on a couple of occasions to actually take on your man and cause a problem. He was, a threat on 1 on 2 occasions on the transition as well. But yeah, that was mainly in the first half. I thought in the second half he kind of just petered out of it.
Yeah, I actually thought Brennan, to be fair to him, he had a couple of nice crosses on his left foot on this occasion, which is something that we haven't seen too much from him. So obviously he's played on the left, and obviously we're not massive fans of him in that position. But he did okay on occasion yesterday, looked a bit more dangerous. What I noticed about Brendan was he's looking to take on his man a lot more yesterday than we've seen previously. Usually he doesn't have the confidence and he doesn't think, I don't know, he just usually doesn't do it. But yesterday he was definitely doing it a lot more.
Do you think it's an element of he was kind of settled in the team before, he was scoring a lot of goals in the back post, but now, because he's not starting many games, that he's got a point to prove now? Potentially.
I think we know his position's definitely not as secure as it was, so now he's got to show a lot more. But I don't think so. 'Cause I don't think Brendan's game's ever really been taking people on. I think that's something he needs to develop a lot more. That's never been his biggest strength. So maybe he feels like he's not been good enough to do it. But we know he's fast enough to do it, and I think he definitely was doing it a lot more. Nearly set up a chance really early on, didn't he, for Kudus? Which we should have had a corner, which was another disgrace from the ref, how he didn't give that. But anyway, I think for me, in a big moment for Brendan, he was played through from Bergvall. He's got a chance on the right angle to get a shot on across the face of goal, and for some reason just doesn't pull the trigger and hesitates and instead decides to pass it off to someone else, and the chance goes. And for me, when you're in that position, especially with Brennan, whose bread and butter finishes across the face of goal, you've got to be taking the opportunity to shoot when it comes to you, because you're not going to be getting the opportunity more that often, and that was very frustrating. But I thought, a bit better than what we've seen.
Yeah, and look, the subs I felt weren't on for long enough. I think we made our first sub on like the 77th minute or something. But a couple of decent cameos. I think when I say a couple of decent cameos, I think each sub probably had like 1 or 2 moments, didn't they, when they came on. Richarlison battled, but he was on the floor more than not. But
Tell looked bright, and Xavi, didn't have too much of the ball, but he looked okay.
Yeah, but Thomas Frank, Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. Look, we were definitely the worst team on the day. That's got to be said. Newcastle deserved to take all 3 points, but we battled. He's got to bloody be thanking Cuti Romero a lot after this game, because he got him out of trouble. But look, I thought we were better than what we have been the last couple of games. I questioned his starting lineup without Mickey van der Ven and Javi Simmons. And I questioned his subs, to be honest, as well, when he's taken off Bergvall, when he's going through a really good moment. He's taken off Randall as well, who just was working his socks off and was playing pretty well on the day. But at the end of the day, we take away a point from Newcastle, which not many managers have done over the last couple of years. Since Nuno, really, no manager has won at Newcastle for Tottenham Hotspur. No manager has drawn at Newcastle for Tottenham Hotspur either. So he's done that. I think, yeah, look, not much to say, just that it needs to be better.
Yeah, I just think it was more the same. I wasn't too impressed with what I saw. We did well to get the draw, fair enough, and we battled hard for it and came back twice from losing position. So fair play to the team. But in terms of how Frank has us set up and how he has us looking and how we are on the ball, maybe a bit better defensively, you can say, in this game, but on the ball, it was pretty much just as bad, to be honest. Not really too much to go on or in terms of improvement. Obviously, it was a bit better because we did score 2. But in terms of general build-up and attacking, there's still so much to be desired. So did well to get the draw, but still unimpressed.
All right, so that is our player ratings from the 2-2 draw